You have the call.
Thank you, Chair. And Ms Foster, congratulations on your appointment to the substantive role as Secretary. I think the last time you appeared before us, you were in the acting Secretary role, so congratulations, and I wish you well for the important task that you have. I'll come back to the org chart in a minute and the acting roles, which you mentioned in your opening statement. But before I do, in the lead-up to estimates, you and I had an exchange of correspondence, which I'll table now for the benefit of committee members and public transparency. Senator Cash and I wrote to you and the Secretary of the Department of Attorney Generals to request a range of information in relation to the NZYQ matter, and you replied and declined to provide answers to those questions. And I quote, you said, "We are not in a position to provide the information in advance of Senate estimates." Why were you unable to provide the information?
So, Senator, it was largely a question of resourcing for us. Particularly in the area around NZYQ, we've got a large number of FOI requests, of orders to produce documents, and obviously preparing more generally for estimates was our top priority, to make sure that the team came well prepared. The information sought was both relatively voluminous but also quite detailed. And I was concerned that if I diverted the team from the general preparation to ensuring that we got that specific set of requests perfect in advance, that I would not be bringing a fully prepared team to estimates.
If it was a question of resources and the volume of the requests, when did it become apparent to you that you wouldn't be able to answer the questions?
So I went through a process over the course of the week, Senator. I think we received your letter sort of after COB on Friday, 10 days ago, and I asked my team to look at what how we would go about pulling those answers together, what would be involved in it, how much work would be involved. By about midweek, they had come back to me saying, "We have the information largely gathered, but we have a process of, finding the things that we don't yet have, of validating the information, and of ensuring that it was all accurate." Because NZYQ has been managed, because there are so many different areas of the department contributing to the effort, it was not a matter of going to one team and saying, "Please just pull all your records." There was a lot of coordination that had to happen. And so I think by about Thursday, I was starting to look at the material and say, "I'm not confident in this." And then obviously on Friday, I had to make a call to say, "I don't think I can provide something that I have confidence is accurate to you."
If you had part of the information, why wasn't that provided with an explanation that the rest of the information would be provided when it was available?
Senator, there was no point during the week at which I said, "Okay, I'm absolutely confident in that block of information." I was looking at it as a whole, though, I have to say, rather than in segments. Thank you.
Did you discuss your response or my request with the Minister or the Minister's office?
I did, Senator. One of the things that was one of the lines of effort, I guess, that we had to do during the week was establish if any of the information requested would be contrary to the public interest to release. And obviously that's a ministerial call whether or not to make a PII claim. So my staff discussed with the Minister's office which areas we thought might be sensitive and whether or not ministers would support a PII claim being made in those regards so that we could finalise our response.
Did the Minister or the Minister's office share with you your view about how you should respond to the correspondence?
Not at all, Senator.
No. I note in your reply to me that you copied a number of ministerial staff in the correspondence. They were not included in the original correspondence. It's not necessary for me to name individuals here, so I won't do so, but they're senior staff in the office of the Minister for Home Affairs and the Immigration Minister. Why did you copy them in on your response?
I did not intend to, Senator. I asked my office to send the response, and I would have to ask my assistants why they chose to do that, but it was not my intent.
Do you think it's appropriate to do that?
I would not have normally done that, Senator, no.
I mean, particularly the Minister Giles staff. I mean, the letter was not to Minister Giles. The letter was not from the Shadow Minister for Immigration. It seems bizarre to me that political staff in a minister's office who was not copied on the original correspondence, have been included in the response.
Yeah, that's an error, Senator, and obviously I take responsibility for the operation of my office. As I said, I didn't intend that to happen, and I would not have asked for that to be the case.
Because it certainly implies that there was political involvement in the response if political staff have been copied on the response.
Understand that, Senator, and that's, as I said, not the case.
Right, okay, well, I'll take your word for it. So are you prepared to answer the questions today that were covered in the letter?
Yes, Senator, we've brought the information with us to perhaps give some substance to the resource issues we were still working through last night to make sure that we had it accurate, and they were being finalised and double-checked this morning. But it's my expectation that we'll be able to provide you with that data when we come to those outcomes.
Thank you. I'm grateful to your staff who are working on the weekend to provide that. That is appreciated. Are you in a position to table any of that information now?
Am I in a position to table it?
Yeah.
I think we will be, Senator, when we get to those questions. As I said, they were just finalising the last-minute checking this morning.
Is there any reason it can't be tabled now?
Only that, Senator, I'm not sure whether or not that final checking was done in time for a 9 o'clock tabling. Certainly we were conscious of the data that would need to be provided as we got to outcome 1 and 2.
Right. Is there someone in the room who's responsible for doing that checking?
There is, Senator, and I'll get them to let me know what stage they're at.
Great. They're welcome to come forward and provide that answer.
Sure.
Senator Michael Willard, Acting Deputy Secretary Immigration. We should be ready to table the documents shortly. We just need to do some final production of the documents and should be ready to table.
Okay. Can you give me a rough estimate?
I think in the next hour.
Okay. All right. I look forward to that as soon as we can, because it will allow the committee to hopefully move through our program in an efficient way today and direct our questioning to matters that are not addressed by the documents. But of course, the later we get it, the less time me and my team have to review it, particularly while I'm sitting here with you asking questions. So,
Sure. We're working as fast as we can to get that to you.
Thank you.